Hello everybody, it's Julian or Flow Graphics here and welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. This is a pretty special video. I've shown this tool in little bits of videos before, but I've never done a proper video on how to actually just really easily color correct and color grade your photos and even potentially footage and other things too. Like, this tool is so incredible. Every single photo I edit, I use this, and you can make your photos look exactly the way you want them to look in a matter of seconds. So I'll give you an example. Here's a photo of me striking a pose in New Zealand. It's just a raw photo. This is just, I dragged the raw photo straight into Photoshop. The whites are a bit blown out, it's a bit desaturated. It could look better. In a few seconds, bam, it looks awesome. The greens look perfect, the sky looks cool, I look nice and tanned. Happy days. Here's another example. This is on drive to Milford Sound in New Zealand. Took a photo in these awesome flowers, and then bam, a quick little color correct, and the blues pop, the purples pop, the greens and the yellows look really vibrant, and it just looks awesome. And it's so easy. It's literally one thing that I'm doing here, and it's awesome. And anyone can do this. It's not hard to do at all. So let's delete these, and we'll start from the ground up. So here's my photo here. The tool we're using is called Selective Color. So this is in your adjustments panel in Photoshop. So if you don't have your adjustments panel, you can just go to Window and then Adjustments to check it on, and they'll pop up on the right hand side here. So Selective Color is just the second last icon, sort of the triangles. Looks like a sandwich cut into triangles. You can just click on that, and then it'll add an adjustment layer into your layers panel. So if you don't know how adjustment layers work, they're basically a layer that affects everything underneath it. So if you change anything to do with the colors or whatever in that adjustment layer, everything below that will get affected. And then you can also mask out certain areas and do other cool things. So it will add that, and then it'll also bring up this little properties panel once you select it on it for the adjustment layer. So the way selective color works is you can basically go into all the individual colors, the reds, magentas, blues, and so on, and individually change their settings. You can change what type of green you want all the greens to look like. You can say how light or dark you want all the greens to look like, their hue, all of that. It's awesome. There's just literally no limit to what you can do with this tool. So let's start from the ground up. Let's start with our yellows. So I think maybe the yellows in this look a bit too yellow. I want it to look a bit more cool and a bit more green. So we can change how much cyan is in the green. So maybe I want to put some more cyan, which is blue. I want to add some more blue to the green to make it look a bit more green and a bit less yellow. Then we can fill around with the magenta. I think I'll probably keep that pretty much the same, maybe drag it a little bit to the left just to make it a bit more strong of a green. And then we can cut out all the yellow if we want. I think that's sort of what we're trying to eliminate here is the yellow, so we can just maybe cut out a little bit of yellow, and then we can play with the black, how sort of light or dark you want the green to be. I think we pretty much keep that the same. So as an example, I could just turn this off, and you can see that instantly just changes all of the greens, but nothing else, and it's awesome. So what I could do now, let's say we go from the yellows and go into the actual greens, and then obviously there's not a whole lot of green actually in this scene. A lot of this was more yellow than green. It just sort of had the perception of green. So we can leave it like that for now. And then let's start with the sky, because this sky looks grey. We need it to look blue. So let's start with our cyans. The awesome thing with this tool is you really don't need to know much about color to make something look good. You can literally just click and drag these bars until something happens, and then you're like, oh, that looks cool. So all I'm doing here is let's cut all the yellow out of this sky to make it a bit more of a strong blue, and I want to add some more black to make it a bit darker so we can actually start to see the sky. Then we'll go into the blues, and we'll pretty much do the same. I'll make the cyan all the way 100%. We want to make it a bit more saturated, a bit more blue. We can give it a tad of magenta so it's not so teal-y color. We want to cut out all the yellow, so it's just more blue, and then we want to increase the black to just make it darker. And then you can see in those couple settings there, we've made the sky a bit more darker and a bit more prominent. And then what we could do now is go to the reds, which would, in these posts and in my skin tone and my jumper, there will be a lot of red. You might not be able to notice it, but if you start to change settings, you'll be able to see how much red there is. So maybe we'll decrease the cyan a bit, make the red a bit more intense, and then we could maybe add a bit of yellow just to make it sort of stand out a bit more, and then maybe increase the black a little bit. And then there you go, like you've just added all those awesome settings. So now what I also could do is just hit Control-J just to duplicate it, and you can see obviously that's made a pretty drastic change. It's just applied those effects that I just made again, so now they're even more so. But what I can just do is go to the preset and then just hit default, and then I'll just sort of wipe everything back to the beginning. Otherwise, if I just want to control Z out of that, all the things, let's say I want the green to be this much and I want the sky to be this much, I could just now go into red and just hit 0 on all these, and then maybe I don't want it to affect other things, and I can just 0 out all of them, and it'll just affect those greens and blues. And now maybe I could go back into the greens and then tweak them a bit more. Maybe I do want to add in a bit of magenta, maybe I want to add in a little bit of yellow, I could play with the black. Let's go into the blues again. Maybe I want to add some more magenta to that sky. Maybe I want it to be not so dark. And then the thing about this is you can sort of stack the layers. If you want something to be a bit more, you can just stack it and add another one of these selective colors just to make it a bit more prominent, that sort of colorization that you're adding. And like I said, you can really just play with these bars until something happens, and it's really, really easy. So there we go. I wanted to make the grass more green. I wanted to make the sky more blue. I wanted to make myself and these posts sort of stand out a bit more. And I did that really easily. If I just select both these layers, hit Control G and group them together, you can see clicking that on and off is just insane, the difference it's made. And it's just so quick to do. So let's skip to the other photo here. We've got a photo. This is my girlfriend, Steph. She's looking good in the flowers. So yeah, let's make this look better. Again, it just looks desaturated. The purple, I want these purples and these flowers to just pop. And I want all the blue to just be really, really vibrant and colorful. So again, let's go to our adjustments layer, our adjustments panel, and then we'll go to selective color, and we'll just sort of pick a starting point. So usually I just sort of work from the top down, or usually I'll work with like the most prominent color. So I guess blues and purples will probably be a good starting point. So let's start with our cyans. So let's drag this. I want to add a lot more cyan in. I don't want to cut it out. I want to make it more blue. So let's drag that up. With the magenta, basically, do we want to be more of a teal, or do we want to be more of sort of a purpley blue? Maybe make it a little bit of a teal. So cut out a bit of magenta. I want to take away all the yellow just to make it a really strong blue. And then maybe I can sort of add a bit of black just to make the blue a bit more vibrant. Now let's go to our actual blues. Again, we can add some more cyan, maybe add a bit of magenta, cut out some yellow, then maybe make it a bit darker. And you can see those blues just really pop now just doing that. Now we can go to the magentas, which would be all these little flowers in the foreground. So cut out all that cyan, and then we can add a whole bunch of magenta because that's the color that we want. With the yellow, that sort of works either way. Maybe we'll add some yellow. And then the black, let's just add some black to make it a bit more exaggerated. Let's go to the yellows. The yellows probably control all these leaves and all the bush. I just want to make the yellows as like a really sunburnt, like bright sort of orangey green. And that takes 2 seconds to do. I just cut out all the cyan, cut out most of the magenta, add tons of yellow, make it a little bit darker. And then boom, in a few seconds, this photo just looks awesome. And obviously you don't always have to make it really saturated and bright and poppy. You could really easily make it sort of darker and gloomy and completely change the photo if you want. I could go to the cyans, I could cut out all of the color, cut out all the cyan, I could maybe add a bit of yellow, I could make it sort of up the brightness, and you can do things to make it look completely different. It doesn't have to be colorful, you can make it look however you want. That's the amazing thing about these tools, is you can individually change every color, and then you can individually change so many things about that separate color. There's just sort of no limit to what you can do. But yeah, that's really it. It doesn't take long. I just wanted to show you guys this tool and just sort of teach you a little bit more about it, because it can just make editing so fun and just so easy. If you have a photo that you take on your phone and you're like, hey, I want to upload this to Instagram, just quickly email yourself the photo, save the photo to your computer, and you literally just drag it in Photoshop, change those bars a little bit, and your photo is 100 times better. And it's really that easy. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any ideas for future tutorials or anything you'd like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments. And yeah, as always, I hope you have an amazing day, everybody. It's been Julian or Flow Graphics here. See ya.